Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. It is just gone 7 minutes after 8 o'clock South African time. We cross over to Palestine. We'll be joined by Baha Hilo. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He is an activist and educator on Palestine. He's based in the West Bank, Bethlehem to be precise. He's going to be talking to us about the 75th anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba. Um, Baha, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you for having us.
A pleasure to have you here. Am I saying your name correctly?
Baha, or in English, or Baha'uddin in Arabic. That's my name, Baha'uddin Hilo.
Okay, we'll stick with Baha. All right, just to let you know that Alhamdulillah, we here at Salam Media are hosting Abir Zayad. She is an archaeologist based in Al Quds. She is our guest. She's been touring the country talking about saving Al Quds and the Palestinian struggle. So we're very pleased to have that sister with us here in South Africa. We hook up with you, Palestine, and the cause of the Palestinian people is very close to our heart. We are behind you all the way. Even if we're not able to do much in any other area, we just keep your story alive. Before we start talking about, the Nakba, the 75th anniversary, I'm very, very curious about the mural behind your back. There's a painting of a whole lot of faces. What is that all about?
Well, in the center or the space we are working from, we try to remind ourselves of our icons. The Palestinians who sacrificed life and blood in order to express their rejection of Zionist savagery and Israeli oppression. We have different examples of people who we're not allowed to learn about because they are being eliminated from our mainstream memory. So we just try to remind ourselves of our idols and of the people that have rejected oppression, rejected Jewish nationalism, rejected Zionism in Palestine, and we remind ourselves that rejection of oppression is actually possible.
And I'm sure it's a huge part in the narrative, the historical narrative of Palestine. And it's a story that you make certain, all Palestinians, that this story is passed down to the next generation, lest they forget the Palestinian struggle.
Sister, like for us, this is not history. This is a living reality. Like we live Nakba every day. Nakba, of course, is an Arabic word that means man-made catastrophe. So we survive that man-made catastrophe every single day. The criminals who implemented a military plan to eliminate Palestinian families from 532 homes are still in power, and they work on the same methods of elimination. It's not that Nakba is a historic event. It's an ongoing reality imposed upon the Palestinian population by Jewish nationalists who are taking over Palestine. So for us, it's impossible to forget your reality. Yes, the narrative might suggest that the ethnic cleansing of Palestine was carried out by 70,000 criminals between December 1947 and October of 1950 or 1949, sorry. So some people might look at that as a historic catastrophe in the same way you would look at white savagery in South Africa during apartheid or Nazi savagery towards like Jewish people in Europe. Uh, those are historic events. In our reality, those are not historic events. This is an ongoing process that is carried out and maintained by Jewish nationalists who commit all kind of savagery, savage crimes towards Palestinian people, from blowing people up in their homes while sleeping to demolishing people's homes to arresting people to restrict people's freedoms and denying them and so on and so forth. So Nakba is not a historic event. Nakba is a man-made catastrophe that Palestinians have been subject to for the past 75 years. Now, of course,
Okay.
Palestinians are not being massacred by the same savages, the 70,000 criminals who are the founders of the State of Israel. We are no longer being murdered by those savages, but now the government of the State of Israel honors that legacy and maintain, different policies that aim at maintaining the ethnic cleansing of Palestine as a policy.
Okay. We also understand that this even though I refer to it as a narrative, historical narrative, we want future generations of Palestine, inshallah, when Palestine is liberated, and soon, that this story is never ever forgotten. That being said, the Nakba is spoken about, of the displacement of 750 Palestinians from their ancestral homes in Palestine. I'm thinking, and the destruction of 500 villages and towns. And I'm thinking, if this Nakba had never ever happened, we're not only talking 750 Palestinians, we're talking about a figure possibly tenfold more. Because if those young men and boys were not killed, they would have gone on and started families of their own. And the Palestinian population would have grown. It would have grown tenfold or more.
The Palestinian population is growing. The one thing in common between all of us is that we are denied freedom at home. We are denied safety at home. We are denied the right to remain home. There are 750,000 people who are members of families that were no longer allowed to stay in their homes. I'll give you a simple example of what could have happened. The largest Palestinian city today is the city of Hebron, Khalil al-Rahman, like the city of Ibrahim alayhi salam. That city in 1946 had 22,000 people in it. Today we're talking about more than 200,000.
Oh,
In
Alhamdulillah.
1946, the largest Palestinian city was the city of Jaffa. 76,000 people lived in that city. All of those people who lived in the city of Jaffa were subject to criminal behavior of the founders of the State of Israel. All of them were thrown into the sea, driven out of their homes, their villages, their apartments, their houses were flattened, and they were removed and forcibly removed from their family's property. They're talking about the main cities, the city of Safed, where the elected president of the Palestinian people was born in. Like the city of Safed had 42,000 people living there. So what was denied is the natural growth of Palestinian communities and Palestinian families. And that denial was carried out by like white European savages who came hiding behind the label of a Jewish individual. So what was denied is the natural growth of Palestinian communities that have been going on for thousands of years. Why is that denial? It's simply because a fascist somewhere in Europe decided that he wants to create a Jewish homeland for Jews only in Palestine. It's like the same savagery that South Africa was subject to. We want to create a replica of Europe in the south of Africa for the white man. And the only way to do that is by being a savage, by being a criminal, by murdering people, stealing their properties, and so on. We have the same crap, but more complicated and more sophisticated and more accepted. Like the savage regime that ruled over South Africa was clearly, recognized as a fascist and racist regime. The savages who destroyed the lives of Palestinian families are called the only democracy in the Middle East. That's the only difference. It's like how the state of Israel is promoted by the white man and how, we are supposed to survive this regime. But like it's the same savagery all over the place there.
Absolutely. Just so that you know that you are informed, Alhamdulillah, here in Cape Town, well, I'm based in Johannesburg, but in Cape Town, where Abir is currently visiting with some of the members of Salam Media, there's going to be a march commemorating the Nakba, the 75th anniversary of the Nakba in Cape Town today, 10 o'clock South African time, just so that you in Palestine know that your voices are being heard here as well. That being said, let's understand what's happening in Palestine, or is all forms of protest going to be muzzled by the illegal occupiers in Palestine? And that, of course, I'm talking about the Israelis.
Um, there are like every day there's some kind of form of commemoration of the ethnic cleansing of Palestine or the catastrophe or Nakba. Today in particular, there will be like commemorations and vigils like being held throughout Palestine, especially in refugees communities. Uh, like the largest cage for Palestinian refugees is the cage that the state of Israel just finished bombarding like for the past week, which is the Gaza Strip. Like families in Gaza Strip are from nearly 240 communities that were ethnically cleansed by the founders of the state of Israel. And of course, the state of Israel does not only succeed in eliminating us from our family's property, but also rules us and also denies us any kind of expression of rejection of their criminal behavior. Like imagine you are ruled by the exact same regime that robbed you of everything, you know?
Absolutely.
And then the state of Israel demands that you provide the state of Israel with some kind of safety and security while the state is robbing you of everything. You know,
How ironic.
that's the kind of madness that we
Absolutely.
survive through every single day, and this is how we see it. And this is how we see ourselves promoted by the white man's media. You know,
And of
like
course, the Western world is silent on this matter. We all know that
you wish they were.
they are
Wish they were
obviously,
silent.
yeah,
You you
they
wish.
are they are they are obviously taking care of their own interests. There's a huge arm industry that needs to be fueled as well, and all of those arms being supplied or to Israel and other such nations. Well, that's a talk for another time. But let's just I want to get a reaction from you regarding this comment. It says Israeli officials and pro Israel activists have repeatedly rejected the term, calling the Nakba, and I quote, an Arab lie, and a justification for terrorism. The Israeli authorities have also sought to eradicate any public references to the Nakba.
Yeah, that's
Your thoughts?
no, that's true, and that's what they have been doing. Like the state of Israel is not only like in denial of their criminal behavior towards us; they are in denial of our very existence. Like there was a minister of finance who was imported to Palestine from Ukraine, something Smutrich or whatever. He was in denial of the very existence of the Palestinian people. Like, why do you think the like defenders of the state of Israel deny the very existence of Palestinians and make the issue of Palestinians as a disputed issue? Like, you know, that Palestinians don't exist because there's no P in the language they speak. Palestinian existence is like a myth that was created to topple down the Jewish state and all that crap. Sorry. The reason they, the
they
reason,
support they
the reason
support
they
all
do
of the,
this,
yes,
the reason they do all of this is because when you deny the existence of people, you are in denial of the criminal behavior they were subject to.
absolutely.
Like if I told you like there are no South Africans in South Africa, then how the hell is the savagery of apartheid took place? You know, like if I told you Native Americans never existed, then you are denying the criminal behavior that led to their elimination. So
Absolutely.
the defenders of the state of Israel use the same trick. We deny the existence of the Palestinian people, so no crime have occurred. You know, so
Sure.
like they do what they have to do. They play by the settler colonial book. They play by the normalized fascism of Europe. That's their game. That's what they do, and this is what they want to have. You look
Okay,
at the
there's
landscape of Palestine. They have turned the landscape of Palestine into a replica of Europe, only to make themselves feel like home. It's like the white man feeling home in the south of Africa. he needs to create a replica of Europe to feel like home in somebody else's land. So that's what they do there.
How do you respond to the Western world suggesting that there is no Palestine? There shouldn't be, uh, Palestine shouldn't be claiming that that is their rightful land because, according to the Zionists, their scriptures has suggested that this land belongs to them, the Zionists. That's the one issue. They also are very prone to talk about the your Arab neighbors that don't support you, that don't defend you as a Palestinian people, almost suggesting that Palestine or Palestinian people shouldn't have any claim to the land or even be in existence. Those are two very separate issues, but very, very dynamic nonetheless. And I'm sure it's very painful for you as Palestinian people to hear those type of utterances.
Dear, like I don't want to reduce our reality to responding to some racist claims or some stuff where, like, defenders of the state of Israel keep repeating. You know, at the end of the day, we exist. If you recognize our existence, then you're s- like you're okay. If you don't recognize our existence, then you need an optician to help you.
Mhm.
I'm not here to like. I don't like to get engaged in conversations where I have to prove my humanity or my right to freedom. You know, defenders of the criminal behavior of the state of Israel deny my existence. They deny my freedom. They deny our right at home as a Palestinian society. They do this because this is the way they can maintain the crime. You know, so of course, defenders of the state of Israel, defenders of Israeli criminal behavior, will keep, you know, throwing arguments for us to be distracted with. The the state of Israel has diplomatic ties with countries around the world, and those countries justify those diplomatic connections by creating an image that doesn't exist here, like the state of Israel being a democracy, for example. Like the state of Israel is a democracy in the exact same sense that apartheid South Africa was a democracy. In South Africa, it was a democracy for the white man, and here it's a democracy for the Jewish nationalists. You know, so I'm not here to like actually have a ping pong with a fascist or with a defender of fascism, because it's like there is brutality that is being carried out beyond like verbal debates. The second issue about like neighboring countries, like yes, the people in neighboring countries, free societies, people, they recognize the oppression imposed upon Palestinians and what Palestinians have to survive. So there is this kind of recognition of the crime that is being carried out against us or maintained against us. Now, political regimes do not operate in the same way. Political regimes, like, they do whatever is good for their maintenance and sustainability. So, like, if it goes against the Western allies' will, they will not do it. If it goes hand in hand with the wishes of their Western allies, they will do that. I just wanted to remind you that uh, many of the countries in Africa did not provide support for the struggle against apartheid. That doesn't mean or did not mean that apartheid was not a savage regime. It just meant that certain countries have better interest than supporting the struggle of people for freedom. Now we have the same thing. Like, yes, we have many countries that do not recognize that we have a right to freedom. The maximum we can do is to shut up and take it. And in best case scenario, like, shut up, be oppressed, and provide security and safety for our oppressor.
Absolutely.
That's the best case scenario. So before like I look at the relation between any political regime and the struggle for the Palestinian people for freedom, I need to look at the nature of that regime. If that regime does not uphold basic rights for its own population, then why the hell should I expect them to provide me with support to achieve my freedoms? You know?
Well
So,
said. Well said indeed. You've hit the nail on the head. I've got a couple of messages here from Nazima Taladia. Thank you indeed for becoming a part of the conversation. This is what she has to say to you, Baha. Thank you for defending Palestine and Al Aqsa, the brutalizing massacres of the apartheid genocide. IDF is sadistic, and you have little support. She goes on to say, I salute you, my brother. And also, South Africa didn't experience your kind of oppression. We owe Palestine more support. Absolutely, Nazima, I do agree with you. Shukran very much for your thoughts. Um, would you like to say something to Nazima?
well, thank you, Nazima, and please do not belittle, your support. It doesn't matter how little you think it is. It's very important to keep us in mind. It's very important to keep us in your prayers, in your da'was. It's very important to keep us you know, uh, being recognized in a way. There's nothing very little. Like South Africa is a very dear place to our heart here. Like we uh, always identified with the struggle of South Africa because up until like mid 90s or early 90s, like there were two regimes that were committing apartheid crimes: the one in the south of Africa and the one in Palestine. Um, the the significance and the struggle, I think, because you people in South Africa had a taste of what brutality of apartheid would look like. And here we are subject to not one but four different and separate systems of Israeli apartheid that are imposed on us. The struggle in South Africa in solidarity with the Palestinian people, I think, should lead to one thing and one thing alone: the expulsion and removal of Israeli representatives. That's it. Like, because South Africa should not behave in the same way as other like countries and other regimes. South Africa is not a European entity. It should not behave like a European entity in the sense that we provide diplomatic, economic, and military support to the Israeli oppressor, and at the same time we provide the humanitarian aid for the Palestinians and public space for Palestinians to speak. When you support two sides of the exact same problem, you support the maintainers of the problem. you know. So the struggle in solidarity with the Palestinian people in South Africa should always lead to the expulsion and removal of defenders and representatives of the Israeli oppressor from the south of Africa. And I say this because South Africa was subject to apartheid in the same sense that Palestinians are being subject to apartheid. So please expel my oppressor from your town. Please expel my
Absolutely.
oppressor from your own society. Please expel my oppressor from, among you. Because you don't deserve
Inshallah.
this. You don't deserve to have such fascists living and creeping among you, supplying criminals in South Africa with weapons to murder more and more and more people.
Inshallah. On this 75th anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba, what are the hopes and the dreams of you, Baha, and the rest of the Palestinian people? What do you want to see? Um, do you want to see the total expulsion of all Israelis and get back your land in totality? What
It's
do you want to live in peace and harmony next to them?
Dear, like if you ask the same questions a survivor of apartheid in South Africa, they will not give you a clear answer. What people who are denied freedom need and want is sometimes something they cannot express. They need freedom. That's it. We need Palestinians to be free in their homes. We need Palestinians to be able to have access to their family property and live safely on it. Now, this horror that are promoted by defenders of the state of Israel, like they want to eliminate us, they want to uh, what is it? Throw us into the sea and all that stupid like kind of arguments. Those arguments aim at maintaining the status quo of oppression. And similar arguments were being made by beneficiaries of apartheid in South Africa. If we allow the black man the right to vote, they will create an apartheid regime against us. No, it doesn't work this way. What works is justice. Like we need to recognize the injustices that were imposed upon Palestinian families. We need to recognize that those families were robbed of their inheritance, their property, and the stuff that they belong to them. We need to allow those people back to what was stolen from them and be allowed to rebuild their homes. Now, what are the consequences of justice? There are no consequences of justice. There are consequences of justice on the criminals. And Israeli fear from justice is simply because they understand and they know that they are criminals. If you're not a criminal, you don't fear justice. You know, if you're not a white supremacist in the south of Africa, you would not fear justice. So what we want is justice. The other thing is, what are the consequences on Jewish Israelis? Like Jewish presence have been in Palestine for millennia. Like, it's like from the times of Abraham. Palestinian culture is an Islamic, Christian, Jewish culture. Like that's what we're spiritually connected to. So the idea is that like, oh, we will eliminate Jews, and it's like, what are we doing? We can't eliminate ourselves.
Absolutely. How soon do you think this dream of the Palestinian people will be realized? We're talking today about the 75th Nakba. What are the wishes and the dreams and the prayers of perhaps some sort of a time span, if it is
Uh,
possible to talk about a time span?
it doesn't work this way. Dear. It took the state of Israel 75 years to eliminate 66.7% of the Palestinian population. 75 years of elimination. Today, elimination goes on through 9 different policies. If you impose any of those policies on a Palestinian community, individual, or neighborhood, like the result is Palestinians being removed and displaced. So the time right now is in favor of the oppressor because the oppressor will not rest until all of us are eliminated. So 66% of us is two-thirds of the process. If we're left for the savagery of Israeli criminals, they will be able to finish that job and finish us. Now, the existence of oppression is an invitation for struggle. You know, as long as there is munkar, as long as there is Israeli oppression, that's an invitation for rejection of oppression physically, verbally, and through your heart with prayers. We need to keep rejecting oppression as long as oppression is the norm in Palestine. It's not like
Baha,
let it take as long as it needs, you know, be a
absolutely.
hundred, 200, like we have the thing we don't understand is that we have 23 different civilizations that ruled over here. The Romans were oppressors in Palestine for more than 800 years. Where are
Hmm.
they? They're gone. We had a bunch of people who used the sacred symbol of cross, you know, brought it with them from Europe, called themselves crusaders, and came in trying to eliminate the local population here 1,000 years ago. Where did they go? Oppression.
So,
As long
time,
as oppression is
what
the
you're
norm,
saying is absolutely what you're saying is time is irrelevant. You just need to fight the good fight. And that's where we leave it. Baha Hilo, you are in the West Bank talking to us on the 75th anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba. You're an activist and an educator on Palestine. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. You spoke from the heart. You spoke for the Palestinian people, our ongoing duas with the Palestinian people. And I look forward to talking with you again sometime soon.
shukran jazeelan. Thank you. Jazakallah khairan.
Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum to you. That was Baha Hilo. He is an activist and educator on Palestine, obviously based in Bethlehem in the West Bank, talking about the Nakba, the 75th anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba. Standing by to talk with us now is my colleague here at Salam Media, is in Cape Town with Abir Ziad and a whole host of other people from Salam Media. He's going to talk to us next about the progress of the tour and, of course, the march in Cape Town commemorating in support of the Nakba, the 75th anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba. Please stay with us.